Again, against Czechia, Vitinha had to drop down a lot, which limited his attacking roles. But against Turkey, we saw Vitinha playing in a forward position and Paulinho dropping down to link the play. And now that Cancelo is not in the midfield anymore, Portugal's shape was stable compared to what we saw last time. But again, to provide tactical flexibility, Cancelo would also move a little bit to the midfield and shift possessions with Bernardo Silva. Hello there everyone, it is Mitsu here and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we'll have an in-depth analysis of the latest game between Turkey and Portugal. Portugal started the game with a 4-3-3 formation, while Turkey used a 4-2-3-1, which was shifted to a 4-5-1 during the defensive phase. The stats show that Portugal was indeed the better side throughout the match, but if you watched their last game against Czechia, you might have noticed that some serious tactical problems that were present in that match were not there anymore. Roberto Martinez was able to fix all these problems with just one substitution that he actually made prior to this match. Alright, so let's start by breaking down this tactical change, as I believe it was the main key behind the big victory that Portugal managed to secure. So Paulinho played in for Dalot this time. Last game, against Czechia, Cancelo was playing in the middle as a center midfielder, more of a wide one. Although this tactical approach was of an attacking nature, it caused some serious problems for Portugal. First of all, the forward line was positioned very far from each other, allowing absolutely no link-up plays between any of them. The only goal here was to cross the ball inside and depend on long balls. Not only that, but Bernardo Silva also joined Cancelo in the middle. So ultimately, the right winger for Portugal during the attacking phase was Dalot, meaning that they were always playing with a back three while owning the possession of the ball. This consequently meant that Nuno Mendes would not push forward. And that actually happened. Mendes did not provide any attacking support. So with how the forward line was stretched, we saw plenty of players behind the ball, in the midfield, rather than being positioned between the lines and trying to exploit the spaces that is created due to how the forward line was playing very wide. That is Rafael Leao and Dalot on the sides and Cristiano Ronaldo in the middle. This was repeated multiple times. The spaces were created between the fullbacks and the center backs, but no players performed any forward runs, for example, in those areas. So at the end of the day, Portugal were not able to exploit those spaces, meaning that they were not able to keep possession of the ball on the ground in the final third. Now, at the end, Portugal won the game, but the poor attacking form was noticed. And here comes the good tactical awareness from Roberto Martinez, to make a change in the starting 11 and try and solve the problem, rather than relying on the same formation once again, just because of the score, as they ultimately won the game. Now what happened in this game against Turkey was that Paulinho was the one responsible to build up the play instead of Vitinha. Again, against Czechia, Vitinha had to drop down a lot, which limited his attacking roles. But against Turkey, we saw Vitinha playing in a forward position and Paulinho dropping down to link the play. And now that Cancelo is not in the midfield anymore, Portugal's shape was stable compared to what we saw last time. But again, to provide tactical flexibility, Cancelo would also move a little bit to the midfield and shift possessions with Bernardo Silva. So we saw a lot of times Bernardo Silva moving out wide, leaving the spaces for Cancelo to play more in a deep possession or in an inverted fullback role. But since Portugal already had enough players in the midfield, playing with a back four now allowed Nuno Mendes to push forward. This allowed him also to exploit the spaces that Rafael Leao creates as he pulls the fullback out of possession. Without the ball, Turkey was using a 4-5-1 formation, as you can see on the screen. They ultimately wanted to keep the opposition outside their block, but as they moved further backwards, more players were able to ask for passes between the lines. This was a problem now, as Portugal started to find numbers around and inside the box, in contrast to what we saw in the first game against Czechia. Roberto Martinez wanted to play a lot of passes in the middle to disturb the defensive organization of Turkey. Vitinha had a lot of roles to connect the lines. Bruno Fernandes had some freedom where he was able to roam around asking for passes, and Bernardo Silva was switching possessions with Cancelo as we discussed earlier. Now, due to how Roberto Martinez fixed the attacking problems that we saw in the last game, Portugal were able to perform multiple overlaps and underlaps. Basically, the spaces between the players decreased, which allowed the team to play, a lot of short passes and find a player performing the forward run. The positioning of Cristiano Ronaldo obviously benefits any player around him, as Ronaldo is always marked with multiple players, so the attackers were able to find enough spaces inside and around the box. This video is brought to you by METRICA Sports, the fundamental tool for every coach and analyst. Create and manage all your video analysis in one platform. Use the coupon MITSUGR at the checkout for a 10% discount. Without the ball, Portugal kept a high line and applied pressure on Turkey. Roberto Martinez wanted to force Turkey to play long balls, as Pepe and Ruben Diaz have an advantage in that regard. So the pressure that Portugal applied was not targeted to a specific area of the pitch, where they did not apply pressing traps for example, but rather marked the short passing lanes and forced Turkey to clear the ball. The first goal was scored the same way that we discussed earlier, where Rafael Leao was out wide, pulling a defender out of shape, and then Nuno Mendes performed the underlap and played a quick pass inside the box. The ball was actually deflected to Bernardo Silva, but he was then able to score. Again, you can see how Cristiano Ronaldo is the one marked inside the box, while Bernardo Silva performs the run from behind completely unmarked. The second goal was a big mistake from Akaidin. In these cases, scanning really comes in handy. Obviously, he was arguing with the keeper that he did not call it out loud. But you know, if he raised his head here while the ball was still rolling towards him, he could have saved himself from this mistake. Now, Portugal's intensity decreased after this goal, but we still saw the same attacking shape from Roberto Martinez, so he did not want to play a defensive game. During the second half, Turkey went for a high backline as they wanted to score an early goal. You can see that they kept the same formation but started to push forward. They even started applying high pressure, and the team felt energized as the second half kicked off. However, this high line was not executed properly, as Portugal was able to score the third and last goal thanks to the poor positioning from the defensive line. A forward run from Cristiano Ronaldo as he asked for the ball before passing it to Bruno for an easy goal. The second half was not very tactical obviously, especially after a 3-0 lead. However, I wanted to cover this match as I wanted to highlight how Roberto Martinez reacted to what happened in the first game against Czechia, and quickly adapted by changing the starting 11. A lot of coaches will not go for such a change, especially after winning the opening game in a big competition. They would not make any tactical changes in the starting formation. But this change was really important. It gave Portugal a completely different look during the attacking phase, and transformed how the players found each other in the final third. You see, having this kind of shape is not always ideal, because you make it extremely easy for the defenders to block the passing lanes and mark the players as they will always be outnumbered. So that was it guys, I hope you have enjoyed the analysis. I wanted to thank everyone for the nice comments and DMs that I received after the last upload. I really appreciate your support. But yeah, this marks the end of Game Week 2. Let me know which teams you would like me to cover from Game Week 3 in the comments down below. So anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.